Hey guys, just wanted to give a content warning. The anime we are talking about is violent, graphic, and deals with extremes. While our talk is clean, this anime is not. And if you are interested, please be aware it is not for children. Thanks. Here we go.
Alright, you ready now?
Sure.
Alright, what's our intro?
Let's get ready.
Okay, give me that intro. Welcome to Faith-Filled Nerds, where two happily married nerds explore Christian symbolism, iconography, and theology within various fandoms. Our goal is to pit them against the source and see how accurate or inaccurate they are. I'm Jean-Marc.
I'm Michelle, and we're exploring Kuta Hirano's character, Father Anderson, from the Helsing OVA.
So, I watched this. I got this anime back in college. You know, there's sometimes that nostalgia's kind of a rough thing. Because sometimes it doesn't hold up.
I know, it's been a while. Aesthetically, it's really pleasing.
Oh, yeah,
I say that.
Well, yeah.
It's so gratuitously violent.
It's really... Well, I remember that part, but I don't remember...
But I know the joke about anime blood is how, it's under high pressure in animes, but there's also more blood than there is in the human body, I think, in that one.
Yeah.
So, to help you fill in, Helsing this is the OVA version, which stands for...
I have no idea.
You don't remember what OVA stands for? I'll look it up right now.
I don't.
It's the more accurate to the actual manga.
Yes, because they did a Helsing animated series, and it was actually more episodic than the OVA. The OVA actually, each, I guess, DVD or each, OVA is sort of its own movie.
Huh. Original video animation.
Oh.
Sometimes as OAV, are Japanese animated films and miniseries made specifically for release in home video formats without prior showings. So this wasn't aired on TV. It was just released straight to video.
Oh.
I think.
But that's weird, because wasn't Brotherhood... Brotherhood was...
No, I believe that was straight to...
I thought I saw it on... No, you might be right. Okay.
I think it was on, the translator sites.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. But yeah, so, they had an original showing, and it was episodic. So, it was about 13 episodes long, 13 episodes for the whole run. And the issue with the original is that it got ahead of...
It had the normal anime problem. It caught up to the manga.
Yeah, it caught up to the manga and then went past it. And they were like, well, we gotta keep...
So they write their own stuff.
Yeah. And so,
there's good anime like that too, like the original
Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah. But yeah, there was no Nazis in the original. They didn't get to the because
they didn't know about it yet.
Yeah, because
which is funny because you find out real fast about the Nazis in the OVA.
Well, not really, because you don't really find out about them until the Valentine, and the Valentine brothers.
Like episode 2.
Well. Episode 2 of the OVA, but it's episode...
Anyway, we're not even here to talk about this. We're a little off track
6 or
already.
Something of the original.
Anyway, there's Nazis. There's a lot of Nazis.
Vampire Nazis.
Vampire Nazis. We are talking about Father Anderson. Father Anderson is Alucard's, the main character's nemesis, his rival. He is supposedly the antithesis, and that's the word I want, to him, which is kind of funny when you really think about it. But Anderson, the character himself, is a Catholic priest from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
He is genetically modified by the Catholic scientist squad, I guess.
Yeah, he's a regenerator.
He's a regenerator, so he's really hard to kill because he can just heal. He's much older than he appears.
Yep, because of the regenerator.
And he has a fascinating power set of Bible and bayonet.
Yeah, I don't think
Bible bayonet.
Bible bayonet. I don't
And also he's known for his smile, because I used to think he was actually probably scarier than Alucard half the time, because he would walk in the anime and they would just show like a silhouette and then his grin, because it's just a normal human grin.
Well, his grin in his glasses.
His grin in his glasses, and his grin, like, you got vampire bite smile, and that's like, monstrous, but we see that. But like, something about a normal human mouth being larger than...
Yeah, because it was wider than it was supposed to be.
So creepy. He actually was so much scarier in that way than Alucard and his vampireness. If you didn't notice, Alucard is just Dracula backwards. He's Dracula.
He's Dracula.
He's basically a demigod / demon lord at this rate in that anime, at least.
Yeah.
So Father Anderson is a part of an order.
The Iscariots.
The Iscariots.
The Vatican Section 13. Yes. The Iscariot organization.
Oh, his species is Monster of God.
Okay, cool.
He has a ton of aliases.
Yes.
Father Anderson, Paladin Anderson, Inquisitor Anderson, Exorcist Anderson, Crusader Anderson, Punisher Anderson, Bishop, the Bayonet Priest, the Blade Master, the Angel's Dust.
Yeah, I like the one of the ones that they say in the anime.
God's Assassin, Saint Guillotine.
Guillotine.
I can read, guys.
The one down there, it should be Off with His Head. Anderson was one of them. Yeah, it's
Iscariot's trump card, Monster of God, said that already. I don't see Off with His Head. Where is it?
Well, it says it in the anime.
Okay.
The
blue light of persecution, the White Knight.
One of the things that is kind of interesting, because we talked about last time,
he has occult knowledge as one of his abilities. Anyway, he got some stats in that block on his character sheet.
There you go. There we go.
Okay.
That's always useful.
You always get a cult, guys. If you play any game involving vampires, just get a cult.
Yeah, get a cult. You'll need it. No, what is really kind of interesting, because we did Wolfwood last time, and we're doing Anderson. They're both priests. They both take...
they both dress as Catholic priests.
Yeah, they both.
No, they pretty much decided that Wolfwood wasn't one.
Yeah, but really, I mean, Anderson is a priest.
No, Anderson is a priest. I'm saying Wolfwood isn't a Catholic priest. He just mimics it because they didn't have the knowledge. Anyway, we're not going back to that. We're talking about Anderson.
But
Father Anderson.
They the way that they
Anderson. Anyway,
stop.
Had to get it in there.
The way that they approach their faith is very, very interesting.
Section 13.
So you have some info on the creator.
Oh yeah, let's talk about. I listened to how to say his name like 10 times, and I'm never going to get it right. It's Hirono Kuta is how they say it, because it's the traditional way of introducing someone from Japan. He is the creator of Helsing. He got into anime from reading other popular manga artists, such as Akira Toriyama.
Yep.
You know him for that little show called Dragon Ball. That's what he...
Yep.
I know it's a pretty obscure reference there, I'm sure.
Yeah, nobody knows that.
He's a self-described lazy, horrible assistant when he worked as a manga assistant. He wasn't a manga artist, but he apparently didn't do very well as the assistant to a manga artist.
What does the assistant do?
I have no idea, but he didn't do a good job.
Apparently he was bad.
So he turns a hentai.
Whoa! So
he did hentai for a little while. That's erotic manga.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. Let's see. And then he had success in a smaller series called Angel Dust, which is interesting because Father Anderson, one of his names is Angel Dust. That's what.
Oh. Okay.
And then Coyote. I don't know these mangas now, and there's like several more that are listed there, but I didn't list them all. He got major success when he started Helsing. And he printed through Yunkin R's publisher, which is a familiar name, I believe. Either it is the same publishing company as Trigon went through, one of them, or is like Yunkin seems to be a name I heard several times. I didn't go back and check this, but I think it's the same company. Don't quote me or sue me. It's not his earliest published work through that company. They also did a short called Legends of a Vampire Hunter, so apparently that was already something he was thinking about.
Okay.
And then he also did another one called, it was a short story they published, Heavenly Pleasure, which is not a hentai, but it is a World War II based story. So you can see a lot of the elements of the work that we later see in Helsing showing up here with vampires and Nazis.
Yeah.
There's a long list of his works. They're all online. This is all from the wiki because everywhere I went was just literally the same thing.
Yeah.
From like the wiki's just there's like very little out there about him. I didn't want to do a super deep dive because you can't trust anything on page 2 of Google. So a lot of his early works are actually considered a collector's item because they're not being made anymore. So what's out there is out there. It's like
And more than likely, the reason you didn't find a lot of stuff, you're probably just a very private individual.
Well, I didn't find anything about that either. So I don't know. I mean, I think there might be some interviews on YouTube. Since I couldn't find anything about his life, what he believed in or anything, I decided not to do a super deep dive into that because obviously he's not out there. So why should I pry? Yeah. I mean, he was willing to work on hentai, so.
Yeah, that probably is why he maybe wants to.
Yeah, that's all I got on him.
Well,
he's cute. He's got like a round face and big glasses.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's kind of look at the anime. So, let's just look at the anime as a whole. You were not super impressed with our second watching of this.
It was pretty rough, actually.
Yeah.
So Cirrus Victoria is fine. I like that character. She's probably my favorite next to Integra.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are actually probably the coolest characters next to like Alucard, who's just cool because he's Alucard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's one of those too strong.
Oh yeah, overpowered.
Overpowered. He's not like as nowadays we have it even worse. Like Alucard actually had longer battles. Sometimes they're just like snap and like deal with the problem. And some of the we have that going on right now.
I think it was like 2 summers ago. That was the theme. We still overpowered.
We have that still with One Punch Man and.
Well, One Punch Man's supposed to be a satire of.
Not My Hero. Sorry, that's not right.
Overlord.
Assassin Classroom.
Yeah.
Overlord, The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime.
How Not to Summon a Demon Prince.
A lot of these are really Western.
Yeah, they
except
really
for no, that is Western. Anyway, but this is older than that. This was 2000s when this came out.
I believe so. Yeah, I remember we were still in college.
Yeah,
so
we were in college, and we had to like watch it in the. We couldn't watch it out in the lobby.
No, we had to watch it. We had to watch it in.
This is a very mature anime, so just be aware of that.
So one of the things I kind of that I noticed about Anderson and his character is this just like seething hatred.
Oh yeah, he was such an angry person. So hateful.
Like he really liked
Everybody was hateful.
Everyone was, but the thing about Anderson is when a lot of times when non-Christians look at Christianity, a lot of times they focus on the parts of the Bible, the fire and brimstone, and even there's a lot of Christians that like to focus on the fire and brimstone.
I mean, I've had someone literally say they wish it was more like the Old Testament when it came to stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Which I feel like is very much
missing the forest.
Yeah, missing the forest for the trees.
Well, we can talk about that when we talk about the.
Yes. Yeah. Because.
We discuss things before we discuss things, but we try not to deeply discuss things so that we can save it for here. Yeah. But we'll see if we can remember all the talking points.
But it's just but it's not just a hatred. It's not just a hatred of vampires. It's a hatred of non-Catholics.
Yeah, there is the definite us versus them is kind of the theme of the whole anime when you really think about it. There's the whole Catholic order and the Irish Catholic order and the Italian. But I mean, there's like it's actually they're different Catholic orders now. But anyway, and there's just like Protestants, they're not worth our time.
Yeah.
Literally. And I'm like, that's not actually how they think I thought. Well, but this is also coming from somebody, we gotta remember, this is coming from a manga artist from Japan doing his research. So this is what he probably found.
Yeah,
so that's kind of sad, I'm going to say that, is he just found that seething hatred between the Protestants and the Irish.
If you look at history.
I know.
In fact, it's one of the things that was very concerning about the whole Brexit thing is
we're bringing normal politics in.
Well, no, I'm talking about how it's affecting history. there's, basically sort of a peace between Ireland and Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah.
And there's some concern that could be, because Ireland was part of it was Catholic, part of it was Protestant, and they went to war.
Because they had like terrorists and stuff.
Yeah, the IRA.
Yeah.
So throughout throughout history, the English, which the Church of England.
I mean, the Church of England literally came into being because a very famous king, got upset with the Catholic Church for not allowing him to continually divorce/murder his wives.
That was one of the things. The other thing is that he saw that the Catholic Church had all this power and wealth, and they were just sort of like sitting on it.
Yeah.
And he didn't think that was right. So it was
revolution! Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. So there's that too. It wasn't just, he wanted to divorce a lot of women.
History repeats itself.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the hatred for
we
not
are gonna
just
get politics in here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Because there is a lot of politics in the fight between
in the anime, yeah.
Well, and in the history between the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church, because for a long time the Catholic Church was it, like they were the church. Man, in fact, that's what Catholic means. We didn't do a spoiler
warning at all, but I guess you all know, if you're listening to this, you probably know what we're talking about. So
yeah,
I wouldn't listen to a show about anime discussing characters without already having probably seen the anime.
I would hope not. But yeah, the term Catholic means united.
Yeah.
That's why the Apostles' Creed say, "I believe in the Catholic Church." It doesn't mean the Roman Catholic Church. It means the church body as a whole.
Anderson is a fully indoctrinated, brainwashed, whatever you want to say, into this. It's not, because I'm not saying this is the Roman Catholic Church. This is the anime's Roman Catholic Church, and this is like the secret society within that.
Yes.
So when we talk about this, we're not talking, if you're Catholic, you're fine. This is like fantasy, magic, crazy land of superstitious, secret, cultish, Catholic magic people.
It does look like
very magic.
It does sometimes feel.
There's literally a nun with a katana who can do special abilities, and Anderson
like a samurai nun.
Yes, he can use the Bible like Japanese charm spells. Like he put Bible.
Oh yeah,
on the
I
wall.
remember that. He put the
Like let's talk about his power set a little bit. So we talked about his regeneration because he's a regenerator. He has the ability to summon bayonets from anywhere, apparently.
Bayonets for days.
He just keeps I don't know where he keeps them all.
Bayonets for days.
And then he can teleport using the Bible because that's a thing.
I will be honest with you. If I could do that with my Bible, I would. That would be super great because we just get around.
That's the one thing about anime when it comes to a lot of Christian themes and stuff is they give him a lot of powers that we just don't have. So there's a scene where he literally covers the walls with
pages of the
Bible, which my grandma would hit me over because if we dropped a Bible, we got in trouble. Can you imagine spreading Bible verses using the pieces of a Bible over? Anyway,
and they're nailed up there with more bayonets.
Yeah, that's a lot of bayonets.
It's a lot, like I said, bayonets for days.
And it would prevent the evil vampires from leaving. So there's him, and then there was Maxwell.
Who was the bishop.
He actually was more hateful than Anderson.
Yes.
He actually made Anderson mad.
Yeah, when you are the hateful that makes another hateful say, "Whoa, dude." You
basically, there was a Nazi lady who went so far that even the Nazis went, "Whoa, you can't treat the Jews that way."
Yeah.
That's basically what this was kind of like. It was like, whoa, you can't do that.
Well, I think where the big place where Alexander had problems with Maxwell is that Maxwell was elevating himself above God.
Yeah, he got permission. He became an archbishop, and he basically thought he was a pope.
Yeah,
at that moment.
And honestly, he's in the Pope mobile.
Yeah, he is
suspended by 4 helicopters.
This anime, I forgot how ridiculous. The fight scenes are really cool, some of them, and sometimes you're like, but why?
But why? So he's in the Pope mobile,
flying through the air,
like suspended from 4 helicopters.
And he's telling London how they're all going to burn in hell.
Yeah,
because the London's like, we know because there's Nazis killing everybody. But thanks, buddy. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
thanks.
I just
man, there's so
much
blood in this anime. Let's see. So Anderson, let's talk about
some of his quotes.
Yeah, we can do quotes, but we also do comparatively how is he as a priest?
Well,
because we do see some of his softer sides. We don't see a lot of it, but we do see it.
We do. Well, if we're going off of the vows, I'm sure that we could check almost all the boxes.
He's murdering people. But he murders monsters.
He murders monsters.
Which is not the same thing.
Well, he does kill those 2 bodyguards of Integris.
Oh, yeah, that ticked her off.
But, he is still killing people, but in his mind, they're not people, they're Protestants, so, who cares? The whole chastity thing doesn't come into the poverty. Although the poverty, I'm sorry, he's got to be buying those bayonets from somewhere.
He summons. They're gifts from God.
Okay.
Yes, God gave him the bayonet.
They are blessed.
Bible. It's actually made of Bible pages, I think. I don't know. I'm just making up stuff. They are blessed. They definitely are blessed because they hurt the vampires very much. Everything he has is blessed.
Yes. But Alucard also has blessed rounds.
Yes. I don't. They're put into the cartridges already for him. Because he can't really. I'm sure he would anyway. It would just hurt. But he doesn't care. Alucard doesn't care.
No. He just tanks that damage.
Anderson is in a similar way. I think it's an interesting theme. I wonder if we'll see it again if we see other priest characters.
Mm-hmm.
Anderson helps run an orphanage in Ireland.
Yes.
And he has this deep love and care for these children that are put into his care.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him talk about him. You see a few flashbacks. Like Maxwell was one of the children put into his care.
Yep.
And it's kind of interesting how that seems to be a theme because Wolfwood was also a character who had a deep love for helping children. And I guess it's to show a softer side to the character. Yeah. But it's hard for me to feel the same way about Anderson because he might have cared for the children in the orphanage. But what about all those kids in London?
Yeah.
Because they're Protestants, they don't get a choice in where they were born.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the issues with the show is they like to get up. Every character, I feel like, except for Saris and Tiger did a little bit, but she didn't talk as much. Like, when she talked for a little. She got what she needed to say out and she was done. She was very down to the point. Some characters just got on their soapboxes and they talk and they're
the Major was the worst.
The Major just talked forever and ever. I literally was like, can we skip this? It's the same drivel every single time. It's a problem. Anderson does it too.
Yeah.
And Alucard does it too.
But to be fair,
but Anderson's more fun to listen to.
Yeah, Anderson does it.
And does not have a bad German accent.
Yeah. He has a bad Irish accent, so it's fine.
I like the bad. I actually really like Anderson and Alucard's chemistry. They work really well as villains against each other because they have they respect each other in a weird way. They insult each other. I don't know. Alucard at least respected Anderson.
Yeah.
I don't know if Anderson respected Alucard. I think he did by the end, and that's why he did the things he did. But
he literally says in the anime, not verbatim, but basically only I can kill you.
Yeah. So there was that true nemesis thing.
All right. So let's kind of look at some of the quotes because he quotes Bible verses because of course he does.
He quotes them as he walks towards you menacingly.
Yes.
So picture this: he's a big blonde man in priest robes holding 2 bayonets, walking towards you, glasses glowing, for some reason teeth glowing, giant grin, and he's just saying Bible verses at you like it's your funeral because it is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, so in when we first meet Anderson, he says so here's a line. He says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We are nothing but dust, and to dust we shall return. Amen. So that's kind of from the Bible. It's from Genesis.
3 through 19, kind of?
Yes, kind
of.
So
he spliced Bible verses together?
Kind of. He used sort of the overall, I guess, or at least what he took from that. The verse,
I don't like it though.
The verse,
it's not theologically sound.
Well, it's
because we are not nothing. We are something. We're more than dust.
We are more, but it's taken from when God is casting Adam and Eve out of the Bible. And basically the verse is sort of talking about how. Is this the first
thing he says in the anime to Alucard?
It's one of the first things.
Okay, it's one of the Bible verses. I mean.
Yeah.
He only does 3.
Yeah.
I thought he did more. I mean, he probably just has a normal voice line says things like, God, da da da, or something. So.
But let's see here, 19. Okay, so what it's basically pulling out of is sort of the last, kind of curses that God was telling Adam and Eve.
Which one are you at? Oh, you're actually going into the actual verse.
So the verse is, by the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground. Since from it you were taken, from dust you are, and from dust you will return. Basically talking about how he formed man from the dust of the earth.
Yeah.
So
that's normal. That's
really
But he literally says in the line, "We are nothing."
Yeah. We are nothing but dust.
Yeah, but we are more than dust. We literally have a soul breathed into us. We are more than dust. We are more than everything else on this planet because.
Yes, because we're made in the image of God.
We're made in the image of God, so he's Rod. Sorry.
This is probably the only time I feel like he like twists the word in this kind of way. Because everything else he quotes straight verses, just horribly out of context.
Well, we'll talk about his order and why it's out of context, because his whole order is out of context.
It really is. The next one, and almost in the same scene,
are we reading Psalms or the Corinthians?
Corinthians, yeah. If anyone does not love the Lord Jesus Christ, let him be accursed. O Lord, come. Amen.
Let them be accursed.
Yeah, accursed.
Is it cursed or accursed?
Accursed.
I don't know.
That is actually
If anyone does not love the Lord Jesus Christ, let them be accursed. Oh Lord, come, amen. What was happening in that? It's Corinthian though.
That is Corinthians.
That's the one that was always in trouble, right? Is it Corinthians that Paul had to write like a ton of letters to, going, "Hey, stop that"?
I think that was Galatians. Well, I think
Corinthians had a lot of.
There's a church in Corinth.
I think there's a lot of the stuff that people pull Paul out of context in his Corinthian stuff.
Yes, so because
we're not gonna go into what it is.
We're not.
But
the full verse is if anyone is out of 1 Corinthians 16, verse 22. If anyone does not love the Lord, let that person be cursed. Come, Lord.
Oh, your version. You're using an IV. This is not an IV here.
Yeah.
They're not even using. They're not even using King James.
They're not. But here's the thing.
That's what they would use, isn't it? What does the Catholic Church use
as their translation? The
Revised Standard Version, second Okay.
Yeah, they've got their own.
Don't they have other books in there that we don't use? Okay.
Yeah. So that verse, it seems pretty like rough and hard and kind of, and that's what Anderson pulls out. But if you keep reading, the very next verse is, the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with you. My love to all of you in Christ Jesus. Amen.
Okay, but he says if anyone does not love the Lord, let that person be cursed. And then he says, my love of you in Christ Jesus. So he's saying it's not to love. He's saying don't believe you're cursed because we believe you are cursed. Everybody's cursed.
Yeah.
We all carry sin.
Yes.
We're all cursed. So it's kind of saying that to them. But Anderson's using it as you don't believe the way I believe, you're going to
go to hell.
Get a bayonet in the gut.
And so, what Paul's trying to say is that the people that don't know Jesus, that don't love Jesus, they still have that sin. But through the grace of Jesus Christ, that can be lifted.
You're loved.
But again, like Anderson he likes that one little part.
He is like, if Anderson was a normal dude, not magical, healing, bayonet summoning, Bible charming Anderson, but just with the same personality, same hatred, he'd be the guy on the street with the hateful signs yelling at people.
Yes.
So.
And the last one is a really long one. It
does show though that even those people who are on the street corner telling you God hates you or whatever, they might go home to an orphanage and be very good to those people, and that's why you got to watch out who you trust sometimes in life, because what is an abuser or dishonest person other people not recognize that.
Right. So the third one
blah, blah, blah. Words are hard.
Yeah, the third one is from Psalms, and this is the scene where they're in the museum.
Oh,
and
when they walk toward each other.
Yeah, Maxwell literally summons Anderson. I guess
the Bible teleport happened again. I guess that seems still probably the funniest scene in the whole anime.
Oh yeah,
and that the anime doesn't have a ton of funny scenes, but when it does, they come out of nowhere and they slap you because the animation style changes, the color changes.
Yeah, everything.
And they do the cutesy little chibi things. They just hit you like you're just watching this dead serious, dark tone, blood and gore anime, and then bam, something cute and silly happens. Usually involves Saris. She was the comedy relief.
Yeah.
But so they're in the museum meeting with the Catholic priest. Alucard comes through the wall because he does that in the day because he can be out in the day. Just makes him really draining. It drains him. He kind of mentions that. And then so Maxwell summons Anderson, and Anderson and Alucard see each other. They just start walking towards each other, and there's just this aura of they're going to fight.
Yeah.
And Anderson's saying this, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And Maxwell keeps saying, stop, stop, stop. And Anderson's like, Integra can't, or like, and they've lost complete control of their monsters. Yes. So that's basically what it is. These are their monsters. They're both monsters, but one's sanctioned by, quotation mark, God, quotation mark. And the other one is, well, a devil, basically. But
one's sanctioned by the Catholic Church, one's sanctioned by the
Protestant Church. The Church of England.
The Anglican Church.
The Anglican Church. They both have their monsters, and they're both sanctioned by these cults within the churches. That's how I view it. It's internal. It's a secret brotherhood, basically, within both systems.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's which we don't support.
Yeah.
We don't join secret societies.
Yep.
That's in our Free Methodist doctrine. We do not join secret
societies.
See, Psalms 2, 8 through 12.
Well, this is what he quotes. Because this isn't the verse, this is what he quotes. So, ask me...
I was going to read it because it's easier. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. Okay? And for thy possession, the ends of the earth. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces, like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, ye kings. Wow, this is definitely more King Jamesy. Be admonished, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish in the way, though his wrath be kindled by a little. So
he's saying this, Anderson is saying this whole thing. As he's slow walking, because you have to slow walk.
And everyone's losing control of their people.
Yeah, and that's the verse he, I guess,
and then
chooses.
Sarah's brings in tourists.
Yeah,
from Japan, Japanese tourists. They come through. It's so cute, and they just kind of stand there.
Old people, just old.
Actually, just gives them this look like, "Don't you dare fight now." Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
So
this is not. I don't think I've ever read this for Sunny.
This is well, first of all, this is Psalms. So yes. Psalms, as you know, book of poetry.
Well, yeah. It's David mostly, right?
Yes.
Some of it's like lament and some of it's joyous.
Some of it's lament, some of it's joyous, some of it's
because some of it deals with all the stuff David did and then him kind of coming to terms with it under God.
And it really, a lot of Psalms is interesting because it is this book of someone's internal, like,
you're reading someone's diary.
You really are, in a way.
Like a poem, like someone's personal poetry.
Because you're a lot of those.
This is the emo kid poem book. Yeah.
A lot of the verses are David dealing with the guilt of what he did.
Yeah, the several things he did. Yes.
Yeah.
We could do an episode on David. That's anime, right? Well, I'll make an anime and then we'll do an episode on it.
So the verse actually reads, ask me and I shall make the nations your inheritance.
Well, he changed it.
Yeah.
Heathen.
Well, yeah, it's probably the translation. And the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron. You will dash them into pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise. Be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and celebrate his rule with trembling. Kiss the Son lest he be angry and your way be led to destruction. For his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. So
it's King James Bible that has the heathen for thine inheritance. I found it. It's the King James.
When I first read this, I was kind of thinking that this might have been a reference to when Israel had come out of slavery and they were getting the table. Oh yeah. When Israel came out of slavery and they were going into the Promised Land. Mm-hmm. But I also had to remind myself that David was a king and David had some conquering of his own that he had to do.
He did do some. He did a lot.
Really?
Well, it wasn't just conquering; it was defending too.
Yep, it was conquering and defending. Obviously, Anderson's trying to make this. He's basically saying, beware, 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 spooky, spooky, spooky.
Yeah.
But really, if you read the whole verse, it's very much of
kiss the Son, lest he be angry. That's an interesting.
Yeah, and I've actually heard that.
It's interesting because it's this is Psalms.
Yeah.
So it's not. Is it talking about Jesus? Is that what that means?
But really, like when it says, be admonished, kings are hold on.
Be wise now, therefore, ye kings. Be admonished, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling.
Yeah. So kings and judges, those are people.
Isn't this kind of a call out to
yes,
the other nations saying, "Hey, chill out."
But it's also kind of a
be
call
afraid
out,
of us because we have God on our side.
It's kind of a call out to the writer because those kings and judges, those are people with a lot of power.
Yes.
It's that beware how you use your power.
Oh, he should have been listening to this.
Huh?
Anderson should have taken some of his own medicine.
Yes. But so really, it's he's taking this out of context, saying that I have this power, or God has this power, and He's using it through me, and I'm His divine wrath. Yeah. But really, what the original writer is saying is like, look, you have power. Be careful with it.
Yeah. It's like, how God talks about us when we speak. We need to be careful when we speak. It's a power. One of the most powerful things we have is our ability to communicate with words.
And obviously, I have to make this particular quote. With great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's cliche.
All right. So, yeah, let's get to Alexander's organization, Vatican Section 13, the Iscariots.
Do you know who the Iscariot is?
Yeah.
I'm assuming most people do.
So I thought that when I first saw the anime, I thought it was like, oh, they just pulled the word Iscariot out of the Bible because it sounded cool.
No.
And then all of his
it makes sense.
And then all of his troops was like, we are the 7 pieces of silver.
No, 40.
40 pieces. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 40 pieces of silver. We are, and the idea of this organization is essentially that because I've heard this argument before, that if Judas hadn't betrayed Jesus, then he wouldn't have been taken to the cross and died for our sins and all that. So, in a way, Judas was helping? Which, no, he
found it.
He betrayed Jesus.
That's the symbol. I know you guys can't see it, but you could look it up.
Yep,
it has the Pope hat.
Yep, Pope hat.
Sorry, the Pope has a great hat.
Yeah, it's true. It's to hide the bunny ears.
Let's see. While you keep talking, I will see if I can find their quote.
Okay. So, the idea of the Iscariots
apparently, one of the Iscariots are genetically engineered.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, the idea of the Iscariots is to be the necessary evil. They even say, we are the necessary evil. They do the things that the church couldn't do because that they feel that needs to be done. In fact, they even mention at one point that they are bound. They don't get to go to heaven. They are all bound for purgatory because of the things they have to do.
Apparently, there's 11 other sections we don't know about.
Yeah.
The Vatican, because we know there's a 13 and we know there's a section 3. Apparently.
Oh, well, I didn't know that the Vatican.
Oh, I get it, because 12 apostles.
Yep.
And then that section 13 is kind of the throwaway one.
Yep. The problem with this idea of the necessary evil is
they all wear glasses. Anyway, continue.
There is no necessary evil. Even Paul says it in one of his letters. Because he says, shall we sin more so that grace may be abound? By no means. Sin is sin. Like there's no, I did this. I stole a candy bar, and obviously that's not as bad as like shooting somebody in the face. I mean, human laws, yes, there is a degree. But when you're looking at sin sin is sin, and all sin, no matter how small we think of it, all sin separates us from God. All sin is equally, in its own way, bad.
It is believed that the Vatican has a real-life organization called the Entity or Holy Alliance. It is unknown, however, if the organization is real. And if it is real, then the organization dates back to the 1500s rather than 2,000 years ago. Sorry, just the random information. I don't quote me on that. It's just in the wiki.
It's in the wiki. So I mean, what are your thoughts on this idea of you had some thoughts?
I've seen this before, not necessarily as a mimicking Judas's cause, but I mean, you said Judas kind of saw. What did you say? He saw the forest before the trees.
Yeah, he missed the forest.
Yeah, one of the reasons
the forest for the trees.
Judas ended up where he ended up is because he wanted the revolution, right?
Yeah, he didn't get it.
The Jews had been thinking for a while that when Jesus came, there was going to be an takeover, and they were going to get all their stuff back and more, and Rome was going to get pushed out, and that's kind of, I think both Peter and Judas were kind of on that same wavelength.
Yes.
But where Peter didn't go take the steps those darker steps Judas did. And I know that it does talk about the devil entering Judas at some point.
Yeah.
But we can get into free will talk there if we really need to, but I do believe there was a choice made.
Yes.
And there are times when we make choices that we cannot take back.
And
consequences happen. But
we actually see that this wasn't like an out of nowhere thing for Judas. Like Judas, he was the one that chastised the woman, the woman that used the perfume to wash Jesus' feet. He chastised her. He's like, why are you wasting this perfume? You could have sold that and we could have given it to the poor. And it's very much implied that there's a good possibility that Judas was probably embezzling.
Really? I don't know if we're going to make that claim. We don't have it.
I don't remember if that's church tradition or if it's actually stated outright, but yeah.
Judas, well, we know he felt some kind of remorse, regret.
Yes.
So, I don't even know. I don't want to talk about Judas's soul or anything like that.
No,
I'm not going to, because that's
between
Judas and God.
Judas and God.
But I do want to say, Section 13 and the idea of it. I've seen, making a monster to fight a monster.
Yeah.
Or doing what has to be done so that others don't have to.
Yep.
I can't think. My brain is bringing up images, but I can't quite name them. Have other stories like that. But I'm trying to put my thoughts on it. Well, Section 13 is the whole. Of course, the anime is over the top in general, so you gotta take that into account. Gotta take into account that the aspects that were grabbed for all the personalities for people was just the divided hatred of each other.
Well, it also feels very much like somebody for researchers, they read through a quick wiki on history.
Exist.
It does. But it just they were oh, that looks good, and they just picked out all the pieces.
I mean, we saw stuff out you watch. When we watch Trigun, it's picked out westerny stuff, but then there's eastern stuff in there, and then they have picked that's just storytelling. It's writing the story and taking things you think are interesting, or you believe in, or you have, it shows up. I actually really like Section 13 only because it is a very interesting element to their fantasy Catholic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they're calling it is fantasy Catholic. And Anderson and in Section 13 literally look at what Maxwell's doing and they turn on him.
Yes.
And there's this morality they try to hold on to, and in the end Anderson loses his, which we have a few minutes to talk about. But it's this desire to do what has to be done to save people, even Protestants, from evil.
Well, and I think it was
they were willing to sacrifice the Protestants, but even then, Anderson really just wanted to kill monsters.
Yeah.
He wanted to kill things he believed were from hell, which Alucard, while they don't go into great detail, they show a bit of his backstory where you see him with the blood. We don't know what kind of contract he made or anything, or how he got his powers beyond that, because he literally dies in his background story.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly he's Dracula.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think really why they turn on Maxwell is because the idea of the Iscariots is, we give up everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the wall, in Game of Thrones.
Maxwell was trying to claim what he lost.
And Maxwell is trying to prop himself up and look.
Because he was given up because he was like the son of like someone important and mistress. He was a bastard basically, and I can say that because it's not a bad word because that's what he was.
It's proper.
It's that for the time period it was proper.
Yeah.
So Maxwell literally told Anderson when he met him, like, I'm going to undo what happened to me. My father gave me up, and I'm going to. Yeah. He basically told Anderson knew what was going to happen, but Anderson had this love for this child. He loved this boy. This boy came into his life. You know, he was the creepiest child in the world. He was like, I'm like, that is not a child. That's a small adult. And that's creepy. When children act like adults, it's creepy.
It is.
And Anderson was like, it doesn't matter, this is my child, and I will love and raise them and take care of them, just as I have all the other orphans, until that eventually they get selected to be tormented and changed into monsters for Section 13. But you know, that's what the orphanage was used for. It was their recruiting ground. Yeah. At least Anderson was there to love on those children. I think that's the thing. It's like, in the end, Anderson is still I think the anime didn't do a great job exploring it, but he could have been a way more complex character.
Yeah, if they had focused on...
He had aspects for being complex. I think he was a rotten priest.
Yeah.
I think Wolfwood was a better priest than he was.
Oh, yeah.
Anderson, he was so driven to kill Alucard. So driven to destroy Alucard that he used some sacred... It was the spear of...
It was one of the nails.
I thought it
was one of the nails that was used to.
Could have sworn it was not a nail. It was a splinter from the spear, because that's why it was all wood based.
I'm pretty sure it was a nail from the cross.
Anyway, he used an item from the cross of some way. Definitely that.
Yeah. So something from the
I can't remember off the top of my head. And by using that, it's almost like a cursed magic item at this point. It's not a holy relic.
No.
It turned him into a literal monster. He went from being human to a monster. Like, he was a monster, but not in the literal sense. He was a monster in the figurative sense.
Yeah.
And then he became both.
Yep.
And he almost did it. He almost killed Alucard. But the problem was, apparently Alucard has a prophecy that he can only be killed by a man, a mortal man. Well, man, woman, mortal. A human being. Human being.
Only a human can kill a monster.
Which is interesting because he kills... Anyway, I think he says that, but I really think a human can only kill him.
Yeah.
And he's probably just the truest form of monster, I guess, in his eyes. And that's why he says only a human can kill a monster.
Yeah.
Because Alucard's able to kill Anderson, and Anderson was a monster at that point.
Yep.
So, I mean, they just didn't think about that line very much. So Anderson's last moments is literally dwelling on these children that he took care of.
Yeah.
He can hear them. He hears their laughter and just wants to go back to them. And it kind of makes you think, it's kind of sad. He devoted his whole life to this insane Section 13, being the Judas for the Catholic Church, doing what had to be done to progress the salvation of man, basically, right? Doing what you have to do, no matter how horrible it is, to progress the salvation of man.
Which is not biblical, but, you know, we're talking about
I feel like it was a great summary, though, of what the Section 13 thought they were doing.
Yes. And misguided as it was.
It cost him his life. He went all in.
Yep.
He put all his eggs in a basket, and then the eggs broke. But it was a decent fight. I think the problem with the last couple episodes, it's fight after fight after fight. So these characters we've been getting to know a little bit.
And but
we don't get any time to breathe.
Yeah.
Like, literally right when he dies, Walter comes in.
Yep.
So, which is a whole other upset for me. And then, also, his death was really long because, it was another of those pretentious talking deaths where I'm going to talk forever as I'm dead.
Yeah.
Because he turns into basically a flaking husk. And he's just talking.
It's like, you are very chatty for someone who's literally his torso is gone. Like from about the middle of his chest down is just
Alucard
gone.
was talking the whole freaking time too.
Yeah.
He did severely weaken Alucard to the point where Alucard had to make the steps that got the Major's plan off, obviously.
Yeah.
But
drawing all that blood and then
Schrodinger's
cat.
It's a mess. The plot's a mess, guy.
To be fair, the only way to kill somebody is not to kill them, but to unmake them.
Yeah,
I guess. So I'm gonna say, not a great priest, but as far as a character, he starts off very one-dimensional, and he's way more one-dimensional in the original, but that was just because they never had the time to play in the space. And I think...
Oh, you're right, Helena's nail.
Yeah.
Alucard begs Anderson not to become a monster like himself. I think it's interesting how Alucard was the one trying to save Anderson.
Yeah.
You think about it, Alucard was trying to save Anderson from damning himself. I think that was a little bit of Alucard's... I think Alucard still has a little bit of humanity in there. He does care for Ceres. He does care for Integra in his own creepy way. He was brokenhearted over losing Walter.
Yeah.
And he was brokenhearted over losing Anderson.
Yeah.
I think after losing Anderson, he kind of goes, well, fine.
Well, I'm done.
I'm going to kill everybody.
One of the things that Anderson says is like, because Alucard actually starts to cry, and he's like, "Oh yeah, why are you crying? Demons don't
monsters
monsters don't cry."
Yeah, that was a bit of it's the anime's worth a watch for their chemistry and their duality and the way they deal with each other.
I would definitely keep your finger on the fast forward button through some parts.
It is very violent. It is very gruesome and very vulgar.
Yes. Oh, especially with the yawn.
If you heard one major speech, you've heard them all, and you can skip them.
You really have.
And there's characters that don't get enough showtime. Like, there's all these guys that work for the major that you don't see. Like the werewolf guy doesn't, do anything. Hi, I'm here to just make sure things go smoothly by. It was nostalgic rewatching it, but it wasn't something I feel like I really could rewatch ever again, unless I'm doing something, like, for this. I rewatched it for this. That's about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else you want to say?
Not really. I think we covered all the points that I got.
So yeah, Anderson is on the... Maybe we'll do, a list sometime of our top priests, pastor / whatever religious leader in anime. Anderson is definitely below Wolfwood. And, his doxology and his theology and his heart.
Though, I will say...
We can judge these people because they're not real people. So we can
I will say, though, that Anderson does have one thing going for him. Anderson is, more than likely... formally ordained by the Catholic Church, so he is an actual Catholic priest.
And we'll leave on this. Anderson hears the voices of the children from his orphanage playing, implying that he has been accepted into heaven. It reminds them to say their prayers daily before he finally passes away.
So there's a weird... Yeah, that is... I guess I didn't catch that.
Integra bows her head. The end of that is how everyone showed respect to Anderson as he died.
Except for Walter.
Well, because Walter hates people.
Yeah.
But Walter's a whole other episode that we're not doing because it doesn't matter. Yeah. But anyway.
Okay, I think we got all the reports out. So as we close out this episode. Oh, do you have anything?
I want to say,
we got to thank our music.
Oh yeah. Thanks to Stephen Rue, who is my follower, for letting us use his jazz album opening.
Yep.
For our music, and thank you for listening and giving this a chance. I know there's some rambling going on, but that's kind of the point of this show.
It's all right.
And hopefully we will be back in a couple weeks with our next selection once we confirm what that is, and we'll try to be more consistent from now on. And
the holidays kicked our butts.
So we're gonna wrap up Faithful Nerds with our random Bible verse.
Random out of context
Bible verse. This is Genesis 24:39, verse 39. Then I asked my master, what if the woman will not come back with me? I don't know. What if the woman won't come back with you? Let her go.
Yeah, let her go, I guess. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I'm John Mark.
And I'm Michelle.
And have a great day.
Bye.